You ever wanted to travel the world while immersing yourself in various cultures? Do you want to see the landmarks our ancestors left around the world throughout history? Is there a part of you that yearns for adventure and marvelous sights? Wouldn't all of that be so much better if you could just get a little high? Hey everyone, Brandon's back. Today we're talking about 5 countries to avoid if you're thinking about smoking a little bit of pot along your travels, which we at Cobra High don't recommend because you're probably not a badass like that anyway. Anyway, you definitely shouldn't do anything illegal, and it's 4 o'clock here at the Cobra High home, so let's just get right into it. South Korea. November 2018, the country's Narcotics Control Act was amended and use of medical cannabis became legal, making South Korea the first country in East Asia to legalize medical cannabis. Despite the reform, recreational cannabis remains strictly forbidden by the law. A violation is punishable by up to 5 years in prison or a fine of up to about $44,000. South Korean authorities have repeatedly warned their citizens that they are subject to their country's criminal code no matter where they are in the world, and advised them to refrain from using cannabis abroad. Along with legal actions, societal backlash against marijuana is often swift and serious. Record label YG Entertainment became widely referred to as the drugstore in Korean after one of their artists was charged for possession and usage of marijuana. Not very dude, to say the least. Saudi Arabia. The use and possession of cannabis is strictly illegal in the country of Saudi Arabia. Use and possession for personal use of any kind of recreational drugs is most of the time punishable by imprisonment if caught. Imprisonment for personal use of cannabis could land you up to 1 to 6 months in prison with or without whippings for first-time offenders. Imprisonment for drug dealing can range between 2 and 10 years in prison with whippings. Repeated dealings and/or smuggling of large amounts of drugs usually result in harsher time in prison or can even include the death penalty, although recent executions are very rare. Foreigners who use cannabis could be deported. Yikes, not exactly loving the idea of those Arabian Nights. Philippines. Cannabis has been illegal in the Philippines since 1972 by virtue of the Dangerous Drugs Act of 1972. In 2002, the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002 was signed, repealing the 1972 Act. However, all cannabis, cannabis extracts, and cannabis tinctures are placed under Schedule 1 of the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002. So use and possession of 500 grams of cannabis or 10 grams of resin is punishable by up to life in prison and a substantial estimated $210,000 fine. If you'd like to help fight for reform in the Philippines, though, a pro-medical marijuana non-government organization called the Philippine Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws seeks to challenge the law in order to legalize its use, so check out links in the description for their Facebook page down below. Malaysia. Cannabis in Malaysia is illegal. Malaysian legislation provides for a mandatory death penalty for convicted drug traffickers. Individuals arrested in possession of 7 ounces of marijuana are presumed by law to be trafficking. Individuals arrested in possession of 50 grams or less will be sentenced to imprisonment for up to 10 years. Back in 2018, public outrage over a death penalty handed to a 29-year-old man giving marijuana to the sick led Malaysia to discuss legalizing cannabis for medical use, but such plans never materialized, and due to the 2020 and 2021 Malaysian political crisis, such ideas remain on the back burner as they try to regain political stability. Singapore. Cannabis in Singapore is currently illegal for recreational purposes, but medicinal purposes have been allowed under extraordinary circumstances in recent years. Possession or consumption can result in a maximum of 10 years in prison with a possible fine of $20,000, as well as caning under the Misuse of Drugs Act. Trafficking, import, or export of more than 500 grams may result in the death penalty. While the legislation of recreational cannabis is unlikely to happen in Singapore under the ruling People's Action Party government in the near future, in recent years the usage of medicinal cannabis has been relaxed but nevertheless remains severely restricted, and it's often been considered as the drug of last resort after all treatment options have been considered. Singapore's National Research Foundation, or the NRF, announced on January 10, 2018 that it would develop synthetic medicinal cannabinoids, or chemical compounds found in the marijuana plant, to eventually help treat diseases such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Part of a broader investment into synthetic biology, the initiative is intended to boost Singapore's push to develop a bio-based economy and grow new industries and create jobs in a sustainable way. Yeah, I mean, you could do that, Singapore. Take all that time, making it in labs or whatever, or you just grow it out of the ground. But to each their own. That'll do it for my take today, guys. If you enjoyed, remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and follow the high.